even though you don't volley a lot and you've kind of avoided it, you've watched the videos, you've learned the stuff, and you've practiced it enough that I see what you're doing. Like, and you're totally in the ballpark. Quick question, Matt and I are both curious about.
Yeah.
Are you aware of any movement or adjustment that you do with your grip in general?
Yeah, I come up on it.
When and why?
For more control.
Okay.
It's a little easier.
What's interesting is, so this is like at the very, very beginning of volleys yesterday, when you hadn't even hit a volley yet, and I was just starting the machine. And to begin with, your hand was down at the bottom of the handle. And you hit a couple forehand volleys like that I don't think you especially liked. You like kind of shanked a couple. You were just kind of getting acclimated and used to the machine. And after hitting a couple forehand volleys and a backhand volley that you also didn't like, and then all of a sudden your hand starts sliding up. And now we've got a bunch more space between your hand and the bottom of the racket. And that continued. So look at the space, the white, here. By the end of your kind of warm-up volleys, we have this much space. And it's like every time you hit a volley that you didn't quite like, you kind of inched a little bit higher on the handle. And that's problematic for three reasons. Reason number one is what Matt said. Every time you change where your hand is on the handle, it changes the distance from your body to the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And we from here to here, an inch or two, is not a small, difference in like where the alignment of the sweet spot is.
Yeah.
And we basically have to have multiple spatial like judgments for every place your hand is on the racket to find a clean shot. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the more you choke up, the less leverage you have with the racket. That's the mechanical trade-off. We're gaining maneuverability, which you don't really need because you use your body well in the first place, but we're losing leverage. And so when you are in a good, comfortable spot and your hand is all the way on the bottom, we have a longer lever to hit a more solid shot. And then trade-off or liability number three is we're losing that much more range and reach, which we want to give you as much range and reach as possible.
For him.
I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yep.
I'm almost a little disappointed. I don't have like any big technical thing to like pick on, but we are going to get your grip in the right spot, and we're going to do a whole mess of repetition, and then we're going to take away the security blanket of choking up. And when you hit a shot you don't like, we're going to actually find out for real what happened, and then we're going to address it directly so that you have a clear association in your mind of like cause and effect. All right, Janice. What I'm looking for specifically is like the bottom of the heel of your hand. I'd like to see it even with the butt cap. So that you're a little bit on top of the fat like part of the handle, so a little bit lower. So in other words, yeah, exactly. I'd like these to be parallel.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as soon as I start, from my perspective, as soon as I start seeing some white, I feel like we're not really utilizing the racket to the best of our ability. Does that make sense? Okay, so with that grip, let's see you just go ahead and shadow a couple forehand volleys. Relax your hand a little bit more. You're looking a little bit stiff and rigid. Good job. One more shadow. All right, let's hit like 8 or 10 forehand volleys with your hand staying in that grip position. Okay, on a scale 1 to 10, how confident did those volleys feel?
6, maybe?
Okay. A bunch of those I know didn't feel great. Any idea why? All right. I think this is like 90% of it. So the reason why I made that guess, like to me, they would have felt bad. And the reason why is the ball hit here on the racket face. That made the racket twist and turn, the sweet spot's a little bit lower than where the ball is hitting. And because volleys are very passive with the hand, mostly, unless you're close and it's high and you're trying to like punch it, if contact is off center even a little bit, it dramatically changes the result. Because you don't get the full effect of the rebound that should be happening from the racket. So let's just take like the last 6 or so volleys and take a quick spot check here and see how many of them hit the middle of your strings. So this is pretty close. We'll give you this one. It's a little bit high, but that's right in the ballpark. That one probably felt clean and felt confident. And what we want to see is a pretty passive rebound from the racket. It's going to open a little bit because the ball is colliding with the racket that already has a slightly open face, which is correct. So you avoid the net. So when the ball hits it, it's going to naturally open the racket a little bit more. What we don't want to see is like an aggressive twist. And this right here is very passive. That's what we want to see. Okay? So that was a nice one. This one is a little bit higher, but pretty close. So far the pattern when it's not in the middle it's been high, which actually isn't what I would have guessed, so I'm glad we're watching it. You see the extra twist in this one, how the racket's popping open? That's from the ball being a little bit high again. If the ball hits dead in the center of the racket, then it'll create the most neutral recoil possible. The higher it hits, the more the racket will twist in that direction. The lower it hits, the more it'll twist in the opposite direction. So far, all of the mishits have been towards the top edge of the racket. So for every inch that the ball is off on the racket face, we're probably losing like 8 or 10 feet and where the ball goes on the other side. I'm totally making that up. That's just a total guess, but it's huge. If it's a little off center and your hand is passive, which it should be, it kills what should happen. It also adds a lot of shock and reverberation into your hand and arm. And the combination of those two things, for me, is like unconfidence, like embodied. It's like, this just fell way short. It felt like crap in my hand. I do not want to repeat that. What we're going to do now is we're going to start to record from directly behind your racket, and we're going to hit another 10 volleys. And your goal is to find as many as possible. There were probably, what did we look at? Like 7 or 8 volleys just now? One of them was low.
Most were high.
5 or 6 were high. And we had 1 or 2 that were like pretty much the middle. Let's try to triple the number of ones in the middle and then see what happens. So what this means is that you're going to have to consciously raise your hand and your racket position an inch or 2 higher than what you think it should be relative to the ball. All right, ready, Janice? Here we go. That sounded nice. That sounded nice. Good. Good. I want you to start being really aware of how it feels in your hand when the ball hits your racket. Good job. That was off center. Good. The one that I commented on, did you feel the difference? How would you describe the actual feel of it?
Off in the hand, couldn't control it. Or not, like it's not going where I want it to go.
Is that how your volleys normally feel?
Not uncommon.
You're not supposed to feel like that.
So what you're feeling is just the ball not hitting the middle of the racket. And that creates that wobble because it throws off. Can you just hold your racket up for me? When the ball hits level with your grip, it creates no instability, no like torsional instability because there's no force off center with like where your hand actually is. But even a tiny bit, even a square high or low will start to twist and turn the racket and then kill the result of the ball on the other side. All right, let's check in here. So a little high. By the way, sweet spot of the racket is a little high. It's not actually the middle. It's like a couple squares high. It's like right in here. But this is a little bit too far towards the tip. pretty much in line with your hand. So racket face stayed nice and steady there. A little bit high, just like a square or two. Not bad. So a little bit of twist,
Yeah.
but not too bad. I want to see at least one or two that are like dead. That's really nice. A little low, but right in the middle, meaning laterally, like high to low. Those are the ones that are going to feel the you see how steady your racket stayed here? It's totally clean and square. So that's going to feel fantastic. And the ball is going to go exactly where it's supposed to go. A little bit low. That's good. I like seeing a little bit of variation. It shouldn't always be in the same spot when you miss it. Oh, that's going to feel nice. Good.
Yeah. I think that was the one that. Oh.
I think the next one is the miss hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
See how violent that looks, like, and so compared to the one before?
Yeah.
And so to me, this is like 90% of your problem, which is really good news. Hopefully you're happy about that. Last couple. Good job. Off, that was on the top. Really clean, fantastic. Really clean, good. Are you starting to see the correlation now between like the feel and like the result? Hopefully you're starting to pick up on sound a little bit too. Yeah, fantastic. It's really hard, isn't it, to put it there?
Yeah.
So compare that to the one that hit the net.
Yeah.
I bet the reason why it hit the net was it didn't hit the middle. See how your racket twists here and it closes?
It's low, yeah.
Yep. A little bit too low on the racket face, and so it just doesn't get the loft that it should. You see the subconscious reaction here?
Yeah.
The ball closed it, and then your hand was like, no, but I want you to go over, but it's obviously too late by then. Really good correction on the next one, just cleaning it up and just hitting it exactly where it should be. I don't have anything else for you here on this side. I think we just need a whole lot of repetition, and then you need to start building the awareness. So that's not going to feel good either. The good news is, as we've been practicing this, we've seen high, we've seen low, we've seen towards the tip of the racket. That's good. Like, we actually want it to be varied, and we don't want to keep hitting the same spot, incorrectly over and over again.
Yeah.
So the key now is just a crap load of repetition, and then micro adjustments. Every time you hit one that isn't stable,
Yeah.
the goal is to get a feel for, okay, where was it?
Yeah.
And then on the next one, make a small adjustment with your hand so that the strings are actually behind the ball.
Yeah.